So what you're seeing this week is President Biden is on a trip. I think this is really a face-saving trip. This is a trip where he has really demoralized a lot of the relationships and the allies that we built up in the Middle East. He's dropped the ball on Abraham Accords. He's done a lot of damage. Now he's trying to fix it. He won't fix it with one trip.
As far as politics goes, there's nothing more majestic than a U.S. president on a foreign trip. Flags flying, photo ops, circling the globe, crowds of cheering people. Think Nixon in China, Reagan in Normandy, or Obama in Berlin. And oftentimes, even a bad year can give a president a lift when he meets with other leaders. Well, today, Joe Biden began his Middle East trip. First stop, Israel. When he was Senator Biden, he was thought of as a solid foreign policy legislator. But now, after the troubled withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Putin issues in Russia and Ukraine, North Korea testing missiles, and Iran also on the verge of a nuclear missile warhead, President Biden has his hands full. Morgan Ortagus saw it all from inside the Trump administration and is joining us now. Morgan, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back.
You know very well that the Middle East is a changed place since Joe Biden was last there as vice president in the Obama administration, in part because of the deal that your administration crafted, the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel, Bahrain, and the UAE, among others. How does that affect what he's doing there this week?
Well, as you said, it has fundamentally changed the region. And unfortunately, this administration, the Biden administration, his team, when they came in, they decided they did not build on the successes of the Abraham Accords that you talked about. And instead, they tried to reverse the very successful strategy that President Trump and Mike Pompeo had for the Middle East, which led to these peace deals. You know, we took the Islamic Republic of Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, and we isolated them. And we put a maximum economic pressure campaign on them to force them to stop them from wreaking havoc on the Middle East, from building their nuclear arsenal, and from, funding their own terror activities. And because of that, because we redoubled and rebuilt the relationship with Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, our common friends, we also had a common enemy together, all of us, in the Islamic Republic of Iran. You never would have gotten to those peace deals in the Middle East if it wasn't for the fact that we, like I said, that we took out Qasem Soleimani and that we isolated Iran. So what you're seeing this week is President Biden is on a trip. I think this is really a face-saving trip. This is a trip where he has really demoralized a lot of the relationships and the allies that we built up in the Middle East. He's dropped the ball on Abraham Accords. He's done a lot of damage. Now he's trying to fix it. He won't fix it with one trip. I hope he can get on the right course.
You know, all that said, the president is expected to sign the so-called Jerusalem Declaration that will condemn Iran's nuclear program and its ambition to weaponize nuclear power. Does that satisfy you in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, it's more words, right? Everything for this administration is a communications exercise. So what matters more to me is that this administration put in place the policy initiatives that you have to put in place in order to stop Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And what do we know that they've done over the past year? Well, they have pretended to negotiate with us in Vienna. And by the way, they weren't even negotiating with us directly. We had the Russians negotiating on our behalf. But they pretended to the United States and to the EU that they were negotiating in good faith. And instead, now we know that we got played, that they never had any intention of going back in this deal. They've been enriching uranium. The sanctions have not been enforced on them, so they have been enriched themselves with cash and have been able to really proliferate quite a black market to be able to operate outside of U.S. sanctions. So they don't feel any real pressure. Why should they sign back onto a deal when they're getting everything that they would want anyway outside of the deal?
Right. There's some fresh news on this front with Iran. Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor for the Biden administration, just announced this afternoon that Iran is sending hundreds of military-grade UAVs or drones to Russia, drones which presumably will be used in the Ukraine, kind of shaping up as a proxy war between the United States and Russia, similar to the Cold War days between the U.S. and the Soviet Union in some respects.
Yeah, this is why this strategy of having the Russians negotiate on our behalf with the Iranians in Vienna and then later in Doha was such a flawed strategy. Remember, on one hand, this administration tries to say that they are going to do everything they can to stop Russia, to beat back Russia in Ukraine, while at the same time, they're allowing the Russians to profit and to work with the Iranians on nuclear energy facilities. So our enemies are partnering together, and they are actually profiting from the policies that have been put in place by this administration. They are disastrously and dangerously wrong on the Middle East, and they need to correct course before it's too late.
Morgan, before I let you go, I want to get your reaction to another piece of videotape here. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton, who served in the Trump administration, is drawing a lot of attention for something he said about January 6th and the January 6th committee in an interview he just recently did with CNN's Jake Tapper. Listen to this, and we'll get your reaction on the other side.
It's not an attack on our democracy. It's Donald Trump looking out for Donald Trump. It's a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence.
I don't know that I agree with you. To be fair, with all due respect, one doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work, and that's not what he did. It was just stumbling around from one idea to another. Ultimately, he did unleash the rioters at the Capitol. As to that, there's no doubt. But not to overthrow the Constitution, to buy more time to throw the matter back to the states to try and redo the issue.
Well, that was an eye-opener to me, at least. He helped set up coup d'etats in other countries. Are you aware of this? And what countries is he talking about?
I'm not sure what countries he was referring to. I think he was, in an attempt to flatter himself and maybe be a little glib, perhaps expose some of the things that he was involved in. I know whatever he was doing was not something that we were working on in the Trump administration. That's not the kind of policy that President Trump stood for.
Morgan Ortagus, thanks for answering that. Really appreciate it, and appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us again on TBN.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.